Hey, welcome back to the channel. So this is day 2 of us talking about spring fever. And today I'm talking to you parents and some things that you can do to help combat spring fever in your kids. And so I know after having working in the schools for many years that there is an escalation of negative behavior after spring break. It just happens again, spring fever. And so what can you do at home as parents to kind of help mediate some of what's going on? So let's talk about behavior being a language. So you'll hear me say that many a times because behavior is a language. It is an indication of something else that is happening internally that your kids are acting out. Maybe they don't have the words to put to it. Maybe they don't even know what it is that they're feeling or even how to express what it is that they're feeling. So they tend to act out. And so that could be for a number of reasons. I mean, spring fever, it is a real thing. It's not just with the kids. Again, adults feel it too. And maybe as a parent, you're feeling it as well. And so we need to talk about some things that we can do or some things that you can do to kind of help mediate that with your child, especially if you're starting to see an increase in notes being sent home about your child acting up and you're like, they weren't doing this before. Why is this happening now? Or maybe you're getting more than what you were getting before. Well, again, here in Texas, standardized testing is coming up, and so here in the state of Texas, we take the kids take the STAR test, and so that means that there's preparation for it. And so, teachers are starting to do strategy sessions about taking the test and how to get through long passages and different ways to figure out math problems and things like that. Well, it might be boring for your child. It might be boring for a lot of kids. And so the way that their teachers are now teaching may present a challenge for your child because they're bored. It could also be that the fact that they know that these strategies they're being taught, and that means that the testing is coming up because there'll be more tutorials offered and things like that. The testing could be producing anxiety in your child, a fear of taking the test, or just a desire to not think about it, and so they tend to act up to avoid having to think about it and deal with it. They may be acting out, and so those are things that you want to have conversations around in terms of like the test anxiety and the things that are happening that are coming up, so that they can be well prepared, not just from a test perspective, but from a mental mindset perspective about, how to prepare for the test and what kind of things are going to be happening, what it looks like, and, the day. But I would say don't spend a lot of time focusing in on the test because then it produces anxiety and it hasn't even gotten there yet. So, some preparation in terms of telling them when it is, telling them that they'll do well, motivating them about the test and how well things will go, and really just not making it a big deal, right? Because I find that to be the most useful, is not making it a big deal, talking to them about it, letting them know, again, what's going to happen, when it's going to be, but not focusing in on that. And so I think that is key in helping your child to mediate some of those negative behaviors, right? Because again, in the classroom, the teaching strategies and things may have changed because they're now focused on preparing for these standardized tests, and it could be your child's way of communicating to you that they are not happy about this, that they don't want to deal with this, they don't want to deal with the thoughts of it. It's producing anxiety or negative feelings inside, and so in order to avoid those negative feelings, they act out, and so that's an easier way to manage what's happening inside is acting out. And so if you are a parent and you're seeing an increase in behaviors, one of the things that you may start to want to ask your child about is, okay, I'm noticing that there's an increase in some of these negative behaviors. Let's talk about this. Can you tell me what's happening in the classroom? Parents, you might want to reach out to your teacher and ask them what's happening in the classroom. Ask them, what has changed between now and then. I'm saying it could be that they're focusing more on strategies, but it could be something else. And so their teaching has changed. And so, but you won't know until you get with the teacher, and then ask your child, ask them, more about like what's happening in the classroom or what's happening in school, and maybe why, things are are different, how things are different. And so allow them to kind of tell you what's going on. Ask them open-ended questions, right? Not yes or no questions like, is the sky blue, right? That's the yes or no. You want to ask them questions like, or you want to say, tell me about school today, or tell me about your teacher, or tell me what's different in your classroom than what's different, before spring break. Tell me, how does the time change? Tell me how you're feeling about coming back to school after spring break. Having these conversations with your child will open up a dialogue and will let you get an insight onto maybe what it is that they're feeling. And so if it is indeed the difference in, maybe they're focusing more on testing strategies and, they're feeling some kind of way about it, and they may not even tell you that they're worried about the testing. They may or they may not. It depends on their age. My son, this is his first year in a public school, so he has not taken a STAR test before, and he let me know that he's like, I'm nervous about this, Mom. I don't know about this, and this was some months ago, right? STAR has not even come yet, and so I had to remind him, son, you'll do fine. You don't need to think about this. It's not here yet. It's coming. You'll do fine. We'll talk more about what that looks like as the time gets closer, but you'll do fine. Don't worry about it. And so he really, he was good with that. And so, I encourage you all to do the same. Make sure you tell your child, you got this. It's nothing to worry about. Now, if your child has taken it before, they have a better idea of, what they're walking into. And so there may be some hesitation, especially if they didn't do as well as they would have liked or you would have liked. And so that's a whole separate conversation. But again, we're in spring fever, and so there's traditionally an increase in negative behaviors. And parents, if you find yourself experiencing this with your child, create some open dialogue with them. Ask them open-ended questions, especially if you feel like it's centered around this testing, or you get an inclination, or you talk to the teacher, or you talk to other parents and they're saying they're experiencing the same thing. Ask them open-ended questions. Make sure you encourage them. You tell them that it's going to be fine, and then just encourage them in preparation for what's to come, but also help them to know how they can, what things they have to look forward to. And so I'll talk more about that in the next in one of the other videos about what you can do in terms of helping your child to mediate spring fever. The next video will be for teachers, so stay tuned.